Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to play on Primitive Rabbit. Now we started this panel back in Easter and the young fella here has slowly been building his scene. He's got a bit of a garden that he's hopping through. Then I had this pockety piece of textile which we've since popped in some flowers coming out of like a pocket of flowers or a vase of flowers. So what did I want to do today? I just noticed that I still haven't stitched that down. So while I gather my thoughts, I've gathered my bits and pieces, my fabric, been nibbling into this French General pack, and I've got some textiles that I picked up in Belen down with Susanna and the gang when we did her retreat. So I'm nibbling into those and a couple of threads that I've already used in the garden below. So while I gather my thoughts, today I want to do the centers of 1, 2, 3 flowers. And I was thinking maybe some yo-yos and then embroidering over them to make them look whimsical. This little guy was a hexagon that I created just folding in all the corners on the previous video. So I've stitched him up the way where you can still see the folds. And then I made 2 and that one there is there. And that's as you would probably imagine a hexagon to look like. So let's just do my little sneaky knot at the end of the needle to stop it from unthreading. So many people are asking me, you can just do the 1 or you can do the 2. The thing is you don't want the knot to become too bulky that it becomes an issue when dragging through fabric. So sometimes I only do that 1 turn. It's like when you start, I guess, tying your shoelace, that first wrapping it, then you start the ears of the shoelace. So that's sort of how I explain it when I get a question. Oh, I've got the wrong thread colour. Hold the phone. I picked a sandy thread, which should be just sitting here. Gosh, when you don't pick up a piece for a little while, you sort of forget what you're all using. Now, another thing, when I was thinking, okay, yo-yos, that's what's going to be a starting point for me, I turned to my buffet behind me where I keep all sorts of things, from treasures to, where's the pin needle gone now? Oh, Reg, seriously. It's always interesting when I watch back videos to see where something has gone. Sometimes I find it, sometimes I don't. But the video tells me exactly what my hands did. And you can still see black pen through there. I'm not too worried at this stage. I'll give it an iron when I'm ready. Yeah, what was I saying? So I turned around to my buffet and I thought, might do some yo-yos. So I needed a circle to make some form of yo-yo shape. And I picked up a pot plant, fake pot plant. Then I picked up some vintage yo-yos that I already own, thinking there might be something in there. I doubt it. And I saw that. This was a little embellishment that was attached to a pot. And of course it came off. And I've just kept it. I've probably had it about 3 years. I'm going to stitch that on. And seriously, how hard would it be to make that? You'd need hot glue by the looks of it. And it's a series of loops made out of twine and then some antennae. And those look like stamens that you can buy, that you would put into a flower. I don't have any that size. I don't think so. And I thought, well, that's an easy little add-on. But if you guys are following along and you want to have a go at making it, I can't see why you wouldn't be able to make it. Oh, come on, thread the needle. These old cottons, which are from Grandma's sewing days, they break out into multiple strands really quickly, like they're old. But, you know, it's good to use them. So I tend to persevere with them. I probably wouldn't make an outfit with them because I'd say your side seam would be easily broken down if the threads are a little bit old. So I certainly wouldn't make clothes with them, but for what, you know, what we do, more than enough strength there. Okay, there's our little sneaky knot. Only need a little bit. Can't believe I've mucked around with this already. Every time I do a video on this, I notice that little bit that never got finished, but I seem to forget it. By the time I get to the couch to do my homework for the video that we film, it's gone. It's slipped out of my mind. So let's pick up here and just get some stitches down, and we're couching the twine into position. I'll have to give you an overall photo of the piece so far. Might do that at the end of this one. I tend to forget to do it, and it gives you a bit of an idea of how it's coming together. So if you don't see it, no, you will. I'm going to make sure I do it because there's no way you can let me know because I can't add it into the video once the video is up. All you can do is say, Corrine, you forgot, and I try and remember for the next video, which is fraught with danger. So I will remember. Actually, I'll use it as a thumbnail, and then you'll see it already. You would have seen it. So you'll be knowing that I pulled it off. I'll try and get a photo. It won't be real close up. That's the only thing, is because the thumbnail is a tiny little hole, but it'll give you a bit of an idea of the perspective of the piece. There we go. We're secure. There was something else I spotted. Actually, let's do the butterfly. He will need the same thread. So let's have a closer look at him before he's forever stitched. So if you were to make a butterfly of your own, just threading that bloomin' needle again. Come on, Reg. Take the thread. Reg has got a bit of a bent shape to him. He's perfectly designed now to stitch around corners. Oh, Reg. Oh, seriously, Reg. Right, that's enough mucking around with him. He's got attitude today. Let's just pick another needle. This one will do the trick. This looks like a milliner's needle. Don't know what size. I never seem to remember. Once they come out of their packaging, that's it. It's anyone's guess. Just the way I roll. Alrighty. Little quilter's knot at the end. So this is to stitch the butterfly down. But before I do, let's have a closer look at him in case you guys want to make him. They've just put glue there. I think I've got twine. Yes. So I just get twine from cheap shops or my hardware. And what they look like they've done is created a loop like so. And then created, I don't have a hot glue gun, otherwise I'd do it. And a stitch might not be the trick. So let's assume you've got your loop about so big and you've trimmed it. Got to pretend we're in a factory making thousands of these. I would say someone's doing this size loop and then someone comes along and adds the little loop on the inside and then a dob of glue holds that. I reckon that's what's happened. Wish I had a glue gun. Maybe I should invest in the glue gun. I'm going to stitch that. See if I can pull it off. Gosh, we've got sidetracked, guys. So much for the centre of flowers. I'm sure you all know how to make yo-yos anyway. And this is more exciting. do I have the piece that could be the feelers? I know I've got little ones. Do I have big guys like that? Don't know. I'd have something. All right, well, that seemed to be okay. Let's just knot that off. Whether it holds or not, I don't know. Oops, now I've got a dodgy knot. Good one. Let's just try and get that a little bit tidier. Okay. One petal. Oh gosh, that'd make a great petal. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know. So that to me is probably okay for the bottom of our little guy. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm making a butterfly. So let's grab this twine. Oh, my tummy's rumbling. What's going on there? Let's do the other wing. Is it the same size as that wing? No, because my centre was smaller. But is it the size of that? Not really either. So let's cinch it down a little bit. I've got a knot in the end of that cotton just to make sure I can do 10 things at once. At least knot your cotton before you start putting together your butterfly or flower. Gosh, this is possibilities, isn't it? I can see these popping up in my future. Maybe I need to do a tutorial separate, making these little elements for our pieces. And then when I use them in the future, I can link how I made them below. Otherwise, things like this that, look, I've forgotten the bit that, see, by the time I practice with you guys and then the tutorial is done, I will know what I'm doing. Do I bother getting a hot glue gun? I sort of don't think I need it. Maybe I can stitch it. I think I can. These would make great flowers. Just thinking out aloud. Yeah, I think I might do that. I'm going to do a little tutorial of how to do this. So if I do them again somewhere or use them, and I'll have a few made then, I can then pop them on my piece, knowing that I can link a video. Knot that off properly. So this is another section of our, I'd say I will need hot glue, you know, because these are all going to come together like that. And they've oozed glue in there to keep them all together. Maybe you could stitch them down on your piece and then we put something in the center there, and then they don't need hot glue. So let's use one of them as a template again and get our little center shape. Once you get your first two done, it seems to be pretty straightforward, and that's your template. Then we're going to put the outer edge on. Hubby's just arrived on the scene and he's closed the door to the room. Here we go, look. Oh, hello. There we go. Genius. You're literally watching this evolve as she stumbles around due to getting sidetracked and now making butterflies. I really don't have enough cotton here, but we're going to use it. So I go through all the threads and then I work back towards myself with just some little stitches. I'm not convinced that that is super secure. Say this was going on a pot or a journal cover, I think you'd need to bring your glue out. But to keep it all together until you find a home for it, I think the thread would be all right. And then if this piece then went down onto your work, and you did, is it the same size? More or less. Not really. Oh yeah. See, the thread's got thinner. It's interesting. The twine has got a little bit thinner. So we're a bit whoopee. And the colour has changed, for goodness sakes. Is it the same twine? Question. Hang on a minute. Let's have a look here. It's not. All right. I have this gorgeous thingamajigger that I picked up, I think, in Pillow Talk or something like that a couple of years back. But it's different twine. Look, 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 look. Thinner, thicker. It's a slightly different ply. So my guess is that is that, and that ain't that. All right, so let's reject that. I do have one little bit of it on that outer edge. So let's start again. Yeah, that's completely different. So when Corrine does the video, she needs to ensure that she has the right twine. See, I just grabbed a scrap to the side of me, then I spotted the ball of twine sitting beside me and assumed, we all know how the saying goes, that it was all the same. But it's not. Is that pretty good? It's pretty close. Righto, let's get this needle threaded again. So there's another learning. Use the same twine. If you're going hunting through your scraps, you might have to double check that you've actually got the same. I just had another idea. What if I coiled some of this to make a circle that could be the centre of the flower? There's a genius idea. Pieces like this are really good to experiment on. You can just sort of have whimsical ideas and see if it works. It's a massive piece space-wise, so no one's ever going to notice that maybe something's not quite what you had in mind. They'll just see it as an overall image. So, yeah, it's a good place to play, which is what this Easter project was all about. When I started it, I just wanted somewhere where we could just meander around the panel, test out ideas. Nothing too formal. I guess I was missing my treasure hunt piece, my down the garden path piece. I presume you're watching this the day Susanna is arriving, so I'll be at the airport picking up my buddy, my stitchy friend. So I did glance at the calendar as I walked in here, and I'm about 4 days in front of you. And I thought, oh, what will I put into that time slot for you guys? It's around the end of the month. Most projects have sort of come to a conclusion for that month, whether it be the calendar prompt or the Roxy. So instead of starting something new, I tend to pick up Young Bunny here and just do a bit more stitching. So today is the day I get Susanna from the airport. Let's do another little one. if I do a tutorial, I'll probably do it later in July, I'm thinking. The month of June is slipping away, unless I can see a time slot next week where I don't have anything scheduled or anything major that I want to do. I might slip into how to make butterflies, 3-dimensional butterflies for your slow stitch projects. So I just do, seems to be holding, I go through, then I come back to myself with some overcast stitches. Just feel like I'm stitching together the bristles of a broom. They tend to do that. They go through and then come back and then through again. Okay. Now remember, I don't have a hot glue gun, but I'm determined to see if I can pull this off with needle and thread. So July is the start of our new project with the Roxy Girls too. So being nature, maybe little elements like this could be included in your slow stitch. Just saying. Okay, so we've now got 2 completely different size. I need to reject that one. We've got to do another one. It's because this outer is the wrong twine. I wonder if I can cut that off. It's the wrong ply if we want to be specific. So we're going to try. See, that's pretty strong, isn't it? There you go. Needle and thread. You can do it. Probably should just... There we go. It's off. That took an effort. So maybe we don't need a hot glue gun. Hot glue guns are bloomin' dangerous. We use them a lot in our business. For those of you who don't know, I've got 2 Christmas shops in Brisbane, and whenever things get broken or damaged, and oh boy, you can imagine, everything gets knocked around. The start, let me just test the size. I'm shooting ahead here and not being thorough. Yeah, that could be trimmed a little bit. So yeah, just kids get excited. You can imagine what they're like when they go into a Christmas store. Decorations are quickly on their finger as they race to show mum. And then they start spinning it. I'm getting shaky thinking about it. Then they go, oh, mum won't let me buy it, so they just dump them. And they get knocked around. So we're forever repairing, forever putting little diamantes back into position and pearls. And so the hot glue gun, we gather all of the broken little bits and bobs and damaged bits, and someone stands there for about an hour every day. When it's really busy, it's even longer, and just repairs if they can. If they're too far gone, well, then that's the end of it. It's written off, and that's a loss to my business. But that's part of retail. You know, we all know that things get broken and trashed. But if we can, we have a good look at the construction of the piece from when it was made, and maybe we can emulate that and do a repair. Not always, but I always find it amusing when someone drops something and you hear the crash, like say it's a crockery pot, a Santa cup or something, and then everyone scatters, and you can literally be a metre away, see it, be standing there in full uniform, and everyone just scatters. It's like, guys, I just saw you do it. I'll tell you. There we go. Now remembering this is different. See, that's plaited, where this is just, twine. So we do have a shape difference. So let me just put that one side. I don't think, actually no, I need a bit more thread. I don't think I need glue. I think you could easily stitch that down onto something. You know, gosh, the stories I could tell you about working in retail. For those of you who have come from a retailing background, you will know what I'm thinking. Oh boy, oh boy. Anyway, I don't want to upset myself. I don't want to feel emotional about all those stories. I want to focus on what I'm doing. So let's just move everything out of the way. Where would we put butterfly? I really do need some antlers. I might pause the video and have a little look. Actually, I might not need to. Hang on. Hold that thought. Can I see the container that would have this little guy? Might. There they are. Look. That's not bad effort. So I'm semi-organised. So we need big ones. That's biggest. That might do. They're really fine. I haven't seen big ones like that. Stay focused, Corrine. I can see morsels in there that could be used. But no, they're not primitive. No. Keep your nose out of there, girl. So, see my size difference? Will that matter? You could stitch them in. So, what if we have a butterfly coming out of here? So we've got little bits, big bits. They've got the little wings really down. That's the two little bits, like that. We could put a button in there when we're done. And then that, they're probably a bit small, aren't they? Could definitely stitch. It will suffice. We're not going to be too concerned. So what I might do is I'm just going to try and pin this little guy's wings into position. Like so. And there. It's pretty good. Actually, it sort of looks like the front of him anyway. The glue's on the back. That should probably be, that's enough, I think. So I've got needle and thread. I might keep him off my piece. He's my inspiration. I don't think, I was going to just stitch him on, but I thought, no, we're going to make one. That little guy can be tucked in there and caught with a stitch. Let's have a go. So if you feel like glue is what you want to do, go for it. If you own one, a glue gun that is, it'd be very quick because hot glue guns, the glue dries really quickly, so you get a pretty good result too for holding things together. So I'm just getting this little antennae in position, or feelers. Then I'm going to come back and poke my needle up through that and just start stitching this to position. Probably could have made it easier on myself and not putting all those pins in, but that's okay. What it did do is made me think about the placement. So I'm confident now that I've got my head around the placement of these little guys' wings. So I'm going to come up into the wing a little bit and try and bury a few extra stitches. You could even couch right through there with a different coloured thread and make it a feature. That would be rather sweet. I wonder what he'd look like with red thread. I promise you we are going to work on the centre of these flowers. Oh my goodness me. If you haven't seen me before, you'll soon realise that the girl sits down, turns on the camera with a bit of a I'm going to do this today routine in her head, but that's it. Then I just literally throw everything down in front of me and see what shakes out. If I think too much about a project, I have a million ideas because my brain is just a little bit that way, I think. Therefore, when it comes to actually formalising it into something for you guys, I'll change my mind anyway because that's what happens. So it's best that I just keep it a little bit freer and just do what happens. And if we like it, we like it. If we don't, just do it again. So that's definitely the way I work. I'm very method, show you my method. So some people find that frustrating because I might dither around for 10, 15 minutes before I get my head around what I'm going to do. So I'd be, no good for you to watch because you'd be like, what's she doing? I know a lot of you scream at the camera, at the TV or iPad because you're also thinking it through with me. I get a lot of comments like that. And it's really cool when I end up where you guys can see. So the other thing too is you guys are watching, so you're getting more of an overall view of the project where I'm focusing on will a stitch hold that particular thing where you've already in your mind stitched it and you're already onto, gosh, I'd do this next. Where I don't get that luxury, I've got to stumble my way through. As you could tell at the beginning, I was like, oh, I don't have a glue gun. Would stitch hold it? Maybe it won't. But until I tried it, stitch holds it. Where at the beginning of this video, I was unsure. Ow! Ow, ow, ow. That was a cracker. That went into my fingernail. There we go. I might see if I can find a button. Have we got buttons on this piece? We don't. Do we want to include a button? Probably not, because it looks like buttons aren't part of the design. What about a piece of lace? That might work. I like a little morsel of lace that suits. That's what we'll look for. I will place a button there just to sort of have a little look, see what it would look like if you wanted to know. I think it would work. It's all about just hiding where you've stitched these little elements together, I think. Could do with something interesting in there. Some of you have asked, when will the piece be completed? How many episodes? I don't know. It will be as long as it needs to be. Okay. Just a couple more. I just feel like that's really got it now. Just feels good. Okay, let's get rid of that pin before it nabs me. How's that? It's not bad. All right, there's all my little stitches. I guess if you're concerned that your stitching's not going to hold it, put a dab of glue there. We won't hold it against you for using glue. Sometimes it's just what's needed. All right, let's spin him around. Oh, I love him. You might want to just pop a couple extra stitches in if you feel like that get caught. I might end up doing that yet, but I won't do it now because we've got enough done. So some buttons. I'm going to grab my lacy bits. Let's see what a button would look like. Oh. Pretty cool. What about that one? Just as cool. But I don't have buttons. Maybe we add buttons. We can add buttons. Maybe a button in the centre of that flower might. Yeah, we're adding buttons. I don't want a bad lace. We're adding buttons. Just made an executive decision. I might jump up to a crochet cotton to hold the button. And we might do a little, oh, I know. Let's get fancy. Have you seen those videos where people stitch designs into the button itself through those holes? Very clever. Little strawberries and tulips and, oh my goodness, I tell you, all sorts of things. I never remember them, but I think that's going to be our button. And what I'm going to do is stitch him on first, so then I know the button is secure with a couple stitches. And I've upgraded to the crochet cotton because then I know it's nice and strong. Because you remember, you're going through all of that twine, so. Okay. Then I'm going to end that off. And I'm going to come back through again. I sort of don't want to do too many stitches because it'll just fill the little hole. Now we're going to come back from the top. And then come back up, leaving that thread hanging in midair there. Oh, come on. Here you come. Okay. Get rid of the needle. You've got a couple options here. You could do a bow. We'll have a look at a bow first. Like you're tying your shoelace. Oops. Don't think it'll be what I'll do. Or you just do a simple little knot. See how you can do. It's very fiddly. I should have had more thread. I've made it hard on myself. So you can have a little bow on his shoulders holding. I do like that. Let's do a bow. What the hang? We're going to do a bow. Now for that bow not to come out and hold, the trick is to put a little dob of glue in the centre of the bow. So my recommendation would be art glitter glue, and we just put a little blob in there. Big blob in my case, but a little blob. And that will dry and it'll never come out. And then we'll just trim back the bow. And you've just added a little detail to your little guy. Just let that sit. So there you go. We've got a butterfly. Okay, he will be put aside somewhere. I might leave him actually in here. And then if I see him, I might make him again, or I'm thinking I might do a tutorial, but maybe not. Who knows? Who knows? Too many projects going on here. Okay, so now we've opened up buttons to the whole game. We can play with some buttons. Now I did want to do also a yo-yo, and I'm thinking, actually, hang on, hold the phone. Remember I had some old ones? These are ones I've made for previous projects, but do I have something that works? That guy does. It's too red. Don't mind that one. Well, I honestly thought these would be 270s and just wouldn't. I really need a quick unpick. Need a quick unpick, guys. A seam ripper. There we go. Yeah, I think this is a beauty. So, okay, there's no yo-yo lesson happening here. You guys, just if you're wondering what the hell is the girl talking about, another name for these is Suffolk Puffs. I grew up as a kid knowing them as yo-yos. They were made en masse in the 70s. Into the 80s, they're still made, and now they seem to be more elements you can add to slow stitch pieces. Vintage yo-yos are a bit of a thing. And this lady has just stitched them all together, and you can imagine en masse, you could have yourself a quilt before you knew it. I've seen textile artists cut them in around there, and you get two for the price of one. So one would have the little puckered in edge, and the other one's just a little antique circle of fabric. Got it. This one here, sort of not quite right, is it? This one they'd made flowers out of them, and then that's the border. That green's not bad. No. We'll think about that. Okay. See, the spotty one, they're amazing. The different fabrics that we used. This one's going to come apart better, easily. Better that last one. It was pushing back at me a bit. There we go. That works. And I'm liking it there. I'm liking it, oh yeah, there or there. I'm thinking there, to be honest. And then what I'd do is invisible stitch him down. I think I would then probably consider coming back with this thread and doing some stitches around him, and maybe some turkey work where it's all fluffy on the inside. So to save time, you might let me do that for homework. I don't think I need to do that with you guys. That's good there. I like how he's a grungy old button. Some of these here could have buttons. Oh, there's a pink one. Could probably pull that off. It's a very soft pink. Yep. That one I might leave, and we'll do some stitching in there. See how he's got that little, can you see? I'm tapping over here, you can't even see. That one there, I might leave that because I can sort of imagine some thread painting in there. See if we put that there, see that? I think we can do something with him. We might just leave it at just these few buttons because I don't want to just go button, button, button. And then, you know, all is done really quickly. We're savouring it, remember? So this guy, I'm wondering, do we make a yo-yo? Or can we come up with something different? Let's get some fabric out. it suits. Is there a flower in there that we could fussy cut out? Not really. Don't know if these are even the right fabrics to use. What about we go back to these? I think we need something bold. We're going to do something with this. It's a beautiful fabric. I haven't nibbled anything out of this yet. Let's cut ourselves out a yo-yo. I don't know if this is going to be the right size yo-yo. I'm just roughly going by eye. Get ourselves a circle. And then we might run the running stitch through, pull it in and see if she is big enough. And if it's not, doesn't worry me. We'll just pop him in the yo-yo pot and then I'll know that I need to make him slightly bigger. It's not even really a circle, but it's close enough. It's a bit of experimenting. If you were precise, you would know that a 5-inch circle gets you a 2-inch yo-yo. Like, you probably would know that. There's probably even a table on the internet somewhere that tells you all that. No doubt someone has sat down and figured that out. Let's get this a bit more circular. Now I'm going to use a fairly strong cotton. You can use sewing machine cotton, but because you're gathering it, you're going to be putting a little bit of force on it. So you've got a couple options. You could turn that, run your stitch around, drag it in, and you'd have a very neat end like that. Or you leave it raw, and then you could have a very furry, messy centre. Let's try it raw. Let's see what that looks like. I'm still not convinced this is the right size too, but at least gives me a starting point. We could add yo-yos to our vase as individual flowers too. There's opportunity there. Who knows? Like, oh my gosh, there's so many things you can do with a panel like this. You can meander around and explore different things. You might spot something on YouTube and you're like, oh gosh, I'd like to try that, but I don't have a project. Well, having something like this sitting to one side where you can just experiment. When it comes to doing a bigger project, then you might go back to something like this and go, oh, I really enjoyed doing that, and away you go. I guess a sampler with lots of different techniques. It's a lot of fun. Like button art. It's exactly doing things with buttons. I don't know what time it is. I have lost track. That butterfly was unexpected. I was just going to plonk him on there and then I'm like, nah, let's have a go. Okay, I cinch it in. And we've now got a raw edged. Oh, I love it. That's good. And it's really puffy. It's lovely because I've used a fabric that's got a little bit of structure. If you need him bigger, let's say you're close but you want him bigger, just back off your gathering. Maybe I do that and then I can play with something in his centre. We still will see the raw edge. Let's just push that back a little bit. Does it still work? Yeah, definitely. Let's do that. And then we can stitch into the centre. So I haven't pulled it in as tight. And I've just given myself a little bit extra size in my little guy. So now I'm just going to do some little stitches, still using that gathering thread. So you could fill it full of French knots. I'm thinking some turkey work where it's all tassel-y. Maybe a yellow or, don't know. So is that all our flowers with something? No, we've still got this guy. Maybe he looks better down there. Oh, I like him there too. And the other thing is you can do them turned over. But you wouldn't have big dog's tooth stitches like that on the other side. You can layer. Let's say you made some and you then put them in the centre of a hexagon. You just have to play around with your sizes, I guess, until you found like the right proportions. You could cut yourself a circle and needle turn appliqué it like we did with the petals. You can do all sorts. All right, so I'm going to jump in now and actually attach him because I've got needle and thread here already. Let's just clear the deck here. I'm going to put those away for a moment. I'm sure we'll find them again. And just get this guy down. Could even have folded that in half. Oh, I like that. Oh, yes, let's do that. Change my mind again. Look at that. I'm just going to catch that edge and bring it in like so. Oh, yes. So, okay, now this opens up a different shape again. So you just never know where I'm going to go. From that point, we could lay down stitches that were more like that and do some stamens. I'm going to change my thread. See, this is just too thin. I think to make it look interesting, we need to get a thicker cotton now here. This is what we need. Gosh, I didn't think I was going this way, but anyway, we are. And I'm wondering if I can do some pistol stitches where we come up. Oh, what about, just getting myself positioned a bit better. What about let's have a look at the pistol stitch. I just feel like that's not enough substance at the end of the stitch. So what I'm thinking of doing is putting a bullion knot at the end of it. Now you can do it in one move. Let's try that. That's, I think, a bit of a Jennifer Colston. Oh goodness, Clouston. Where you come straight through and wrap it. I think that's how she does it. And then you can get a little shape that's a little bit more substantial at the top of your stitch than just a little knot. And if you upgrade your thread to a decent thickness, that will help as well. You can put as many wraps as you like on the end. I'm doing enough that covers the little nibble of fabric that I have there within the stitch. But you could do extra wraps and you could have a curly little end. Am I even in camera? Goodness me. I feel like I'm wrangling something quite large here. So there we go. We've got some little stamens. You could apply this to the butterfly too if you didn't have those little feelers. 1, 2, 3, 4, roughly 5, 6. Just using it by eye. Don't catch everything. Bringing it back down and dropping it on the other side of that stitch to anchor it. There we go. Now let's just anchor that there. So then maybe, so I've got a little bit of thread left. I might see if thread is thick enough and is worth the effort of doing some little knots in the center there. Is it worth it? I don't think it is. I think that's fine. The only thing I might do is I'm a bit concerned that it's flicking around a little bit. So I'm going to grab my sewing machine cotton and just do just a few little stitches. I'm concerned that that gets caught. Let's say I take it somewhere to work on and you're putting it into your sewing kit and it gets caught. Same with those butterfly wings. I'd be tempted to stitch them down. You don't want to be ripping off a piece of your work. So we still haven't addressed leaves. And at this stage, I don't think I'll be doing leaves. I don't think I need it. Oh, come on, let's get our hands into position here. Sorry, guys. So I might start over here and I'm just going to catch that little corner and slip stitch through. Yep, that's better. That's just going to make sure it doesn't get damaged. We must be close to the hour. I feel like I've been here a little while. So I'm not sure what videos will pop up over the next week because that's how long Susanna is with me. So whether we do some adventurous ones, I know we're going to be stitching into some clothing. We're feeling inspired to decorate some of our clothing and she's bought with a couple tops and I've got my pink jacket. So that will definitely be happening. So I'm not sure when Bunny will pop back up. Might be into July. We'll see. Yeah, stitching that down has really helped mush it into the background. And I know it's safe then too. So there you go. There's some different ideas. I didn't think that was going to all happen. It's beautiful fabric. It's made in Japan, this. So nice. It's a real loose weave. That yellow is one of them as well. Okay, and down to here. I don't think I'll stitch along there because I think it's too raised, and if I pop a stitch in there, oh, it'd have to be sneaky, as in back deep. I'll give it a go. I do not want to see them. That's not too bad. Just sneak back in under here and just peek out. Yeah, that's worked. Because I want that nice rolled thick edge. So I'll toddle off and have a fiddle around with these centres, whether I make another yo-yo or a button. Then I'll have a play with some embroidery stitches, or maybe I come back and do that with you guys. I don't know. There's no rules to this piece. It's just whatever. But I would definitely get a detail into the center of them all. There we go. There we go. We've got our little center, nice and whimsical, just what we wanted. There was buttons there. Maybe, how are we going for time? We got time? Let me have a look. Oh, we're right on the hour. This guy here, I'd like something for that. Let's just, oh, there was that limey green yo-yo. So we've got green down here. How close was he to that? Let's just revisit that fellow. Where is he? He's in the family. Yeah, I'm going to use him, guys. There's that guy as well, but he's a bit bland. Pick and pick. I'll just separate him out. I don't know. I just don't want to plonk buttons around. That just seems like lickety-split done. You know what I mean? I just feel like I want to try a few different techniques. Oh, look how faded that is. I can see the true colour of the fabric now. That's a thread of fabric from the previous connection point. You can just cut them out, but I'm trying to maintain the side of them and not just chop them off. It's just easy. I'd probably have a very blunt, or this is a cheapie. I know I've got one that has a little gold handle and it's as sharp as sharp. It's an absolute little ripper, literally a seam ripper. If you're putting a bit of tension on them as you go, you do tend to expose the threads eventually. Gosh, the lady that did this, she put a few stitches in. This one we worked out was the 1970s from the fabric. Oh, look at that. It's a bit out there. Combination's a bit out there, to be honest. But anyway, now this little guy, he's got a little bit of fabric caught on this side. Oh, my tummy's rumbling. It's time to go and make something for breakfast. See all the stitching? I do like that. Oh, I like that. And I like how, see that edge is turned up? Yeah. I'm going to stitch that down. Maybe I'll use red. Gosh, we're going over time. She's off on a tangent. And I'm wondering if just a few simple, either French knots or colonial knots. Where's my bigger needle that the thread will slide through? There it is. And then I'll come back with an invisible stitch and just catch it ever so slightly, because I really like that curled up edge there. Like, that's classic, sort of a bit common for me. I feel like I've done that 100 times. Let's have a little look at a little scattering of knots in there. Yes, that's what we're doing. Just a few. Don't want it to be a blob because the petals are very dainty on this guy. That's be just enough to hold it. I can keep that thread on the go, and that could be turkey work up here on this guy. That'll sort of link it together. And then maybe I do a button here and stitch this down with this thread. So we're sort of tying them together a little bit. If there's such a thing, if there's that much thought. Let me just knot this little guy. I know we're going over time, but I can't stop. I'm on a roll. I'll grab that button again that I picked out for there. Don't even know if that was the button, to be honest, but it is now. I like how he's a little off cream. And let's do him. And we can do either that or cross. We'll do a cross. So yeah, I'll come back with invisible stitch and just tack him down. We don't want him getting damaged. Yeah, I like that. And I'll keep this needle and thread near me. Where's my little container? That, and that, and that. And I'll play, and cotton. I will play a little bit more with stitch. Turkey work is the series of knots with loops, and then you come back and snip it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just type it into YouTube and you'll find heaps of examples of that. I'm thinking some little tassels there. I'll have a little stitch into here. Maybe I'm going to leave the crochet elements till the next video and we'll explore what comes out. So I will be invisible stitching that down and that, pop some turkey work in there. And then I think my flowers pretty much are done. This little guy I will stitch down so he doesn't get damaged. And in the next video, we'll explore what we can do to these to bring them out. And I will also iron out my bits and pieces. So that's the plan. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye and catch you all in the next video. Bye for now.